Okay, so this is how you do your bridge, the side of your bridge so that it's all flat and smooth, and this requires a lot of precision, and you're going to use slightly different numbers than that because that measures to overlap, and for this method you're going to measure right to the edge of your lines. First thing you need to do is take your pieces that are going to be your top and your bottom. And sorry, there's still glue on my plastic wrap from my first video. Okay. There it is. So you have your 1/4 by 1/8 piece of wood. You have 2 of them. And you want to line them up and make sure you have the right size. According to this, I should have a 9-inch one and an 11-inch one. So let's just double check here. Okay. Woo, there we go. So 9 inches would be there. Okay. And 11 inches, let's line it up, would be, line it up. Oh, we're sticking. It's a whole lot easier to do this when you don't have glue on your mat. Okay. So you should not have wet glue on your plastic wrap because you let it dry. So then you take your scissors and you just cut, because you can cut up to this size wood with your scissors. So we just cut off our pieces. And don't lose these. Look, it's $8.59.9. Don't lose these because you might need them later. Then your next step is you need to tape this down onto your plastic wrap. Line it up exactly with your drawing. And when you go to tape it down, we are only taping where there's a gap in the trusses. So we make it nice and tight. You can see my tape is not where there's any line on my truss. So then I will be able to get the tape off later because there should be no tape in your final product. Like, this is held together with glue, not tape. Okay. Let's see, a middle piece. And then an end piece. And I don't have any regular masking tape in my house, so we used washi tape. Okay, now this is where things get a little bit more tricky. Instead of laying your pieces on top, we are going to lay our pieces in between or beside the pieces of wood, which requires a lot more precision, because if you're off the slightest and they no longer touch, then that's not going to work. For this method, I almost suggest you just mark them all. Okay, so I have my top and I have my bottom taped down, ready to go. Now the next step is to do our diagonals and verticals. And if you're going to do this method where everything is going to be flat and flush, you want to do your verticals next because they're easier to cut. And you can measure with the ruler, and you can measure. You're going to be measuring from this edge to this edge, or you can just take your piece and line it up like we need it here, and then we want it to go like we're lining up with the edge of the wood and making a mark. And then we are going to go ahead and cut one so we can make sure it fits. We line it up, and it has to touch the top and it has to touch the bottom exactly right. And then we can see that we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these. So you're going to go ahead and cut 10. And I suggest you line them up so that they're even on this side, and then mark where they need to be. And be careful because sometimes they squish down. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 10 of them. So I cut all my pieces. There they are. You know what? Before I start gluing on top of here, I'm going to put my name on this. Just so it can be found later in case it gets mixed up. So, ooh, I can spell my name. Okay. It's got, my name is on there. Now my job is to go ahead and put all these pieces in. So you put glue on the end of both of your end pieces, or of your verticals, and you just go ahead and slide them into place. And they should fit nice and snug since you measured. If you find one that doesn't fit exactly how you wanted it, then just go ahead and trim it. Like that one seems to be a little bit too large, so we're gonna trim off the end a little bit and put it on. Yep, okay. So that fits really well. You just keep working your way through. You might want to test them before you put the glue in. That's an option too. You can see I slid it in and then I put the glue in. If you notice yours are starting to pop apart, double check that you don't, yeah, it was this one. This one was a little bit too tall. See, this is what I mean by it requires some precision. Okay, there we go. And they have to touch. If these are not touching each other, then they're not going to glue. Like, if you don't have this in contact with that, it's not going to glue together. So then you just keep right on going through. And see, you can put glue down there and then slide it into place. There's a couple different options, but again, you have to make sure that this wood and this wood are making contact so that the glue will stick, because it's coming off of this plastic wrap. The cardboard and plastic wrap are just there to help you know where to put all of your pieces. Looks like I got another one that's a little bit too large, so we're going to trim it a little bit. I would suggest, if you're doing this method, that you get all of your verticals in and get it dry, at least partially dry, before you start doing your diagonals. See, do you see how this one isn't even touching down here? That one's too short, so we're going to need one that's slightly longer at that location. Okay, once you've done, I don't know what that is. Once you've done all your verticals, you want to go in and do your angles. And now with your angles, you're going to have to cut the pieces of wood so that they are angled themselves. So you can see like this. You see that, how it's like angled? You need that angle because it's got to fit in at that corner. And you can either fit it in like that, it goes in like this, and then down here, we need to make a mark to know where to cut it. So it needs to be angled that direction. So you're going to have to pretty much cut every piece to size just to double check. And for these, you really want to double check the fitting before you add the glue. So you can see this is going to fit right into that spot. So then we're going to apply the glue and glue it into place, like so. Okay, so then you go through and you do, and this is where some of your, nope, those are too short. Some of your scraps can come into play. So like down here, some these will fit. You see I got that angle down there. There's that one. So we're going to line it up. It needs to be there, and it needs to be there. So then you cut it. And you test fit it. Oh. Have all of your pieces in, and I just went ahead and reinforced all of my joints with a little bit of glue, and you've made sure that everything is touching. Then mine's moving a little bit because of the stretched plastic wrap. Make sure everything is touching and good to go. Okay, once you have this done, and you've made sure that every joint is connected, and you maybe added a little bit of glue at each one of the parts. Be careful you don't want a whole bunch, because then you got to get it off later. You go put this on your project table.